All right. Amazing. Well, hello, and happy Friday, everyone. I am so excited for this conversation. I've been really looking forward to having this conversation all week, and I want to introduce a very special woman. Her name is Melanie, and she is a graduate of the Loyo Method program and just a wonderful, wonderful mom, woman, person, friend. Um, all of the things. So hello, Melanie. How are you?
Hello, I'm good.
Awesome. It's so nice that you are here. I'm super, super excited about this. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, just so everyone can kind of get to know you just a bit. Like, where are you
Well,
from? Who are
yeah,
you?
I live just outside Ottawa, Ontario, Canadian girl. I was born and raised in Northern Ontario, farm girl, and I'm 42, wife and mom, and happy person, pretty gentle person, content in my life. Always struggled with my weight since I was a little girl. And I learned to love myself even though I was heavy all my life. But something happened when I hit 40 that I was like, I gotta lose this weight. I gotta get off this crazy roller coaster. And which led me to meeting you. But besides that topic in my life, everything else under control, and not sounding silly, but a happy person. But that was my one struggle, which is why I'm here with you now.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about, your challenge around weight or your relationship with food, before I think we were just chatting before we were starting. It looks like we're coming up on about a year since we were first chatting. But what, lifelong struggle with weight. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with food, your
Yeah,
eating
so
behavior.
real young, I'm talking like primary grades young. I knew I was just bigger than everyone else. My dad was a great big giant man who loved ice cream and potato chips, and I just ate junk food real young. And so I was big real young. And I think I was like in grade 4 when I was as big as my teacher. And I just knew I was heavy. I knew I was the big kid. That was just there. But because I came from a pretty happy, loving home, I didn't hate myself. I just knew it was there. I was aware of it. We ate junk food all the time. That was the main food. And I guess I look back and, you cope with junk food. My dad was a great dad, but he accidentally taught me that. And so I grew up just that's how we ate, that's how we lived, and that was our main food. And I think it was just in older grades where I started to not like myself and not like that, just realizing, you know, I'm pretty big, pretty young. Uh, 200 pounds in your childhood, 300 pounds in high school, that's a lot. And so I look back and I'm grateful for, I loved myself, I had a loving family, but that's a lot of weight in a young age. And so now in my 40s, I'm so proud of myself that I went through all of that. But that's where it started. It was hard.
Yeah. Um, oh, I love having a conversation with you. I loved having you as part of our program. You were such an inspiration to so many women. I just love having this conversation. It really does bring joy to my morning. So tell us, okay, so I'm so excited. So
Thank you.
tell us a little bit about, really, I really have been looking forward to this all week. So tell us a little bit about, okay, so we had a conversation approximately a year or so ago. Like what,
Yeah, what brought me
what,
there?
yeah, what brought you there? Like what brought you to Loyo, and what stood out for you perhaps as different, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
from
for sure.
maybe other things that you've done before, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so growing up heavy like that, I didn't ever really try to do anything about it until I was in my 20s. And, you put yourself on the Monday morning diet, no more junk food. I did a lot of that. And I think that's where I started to grow that mentality of, okay, I'll start Monday, but then I blew it. So then I was upset with myself. I started that then, and I repeated that for a long time. And then I did pills, I did shakes. I would go put myself on secret diets that no one else would, where you just restrict yourself like crazy, but then you binge because you're so hungry. I did that through my 20s and 30s. And I got married in my 30s, which changed everything because he was a good guy that really loved me and I loved him back. And so I calmed down with the little spurts of trying this, trying that, buying this, buying that. I calmed down with that and just lived my life. And then I had my son, which, was weight gain. And of course, I didn't lose a single pound of the pregnancy. And so I just, as years went on, I would still do these little stints, but I just kept gaining. Even though I was happy in life, that was just always something I could never figure out. I could never just finally, that one last diet that answered everything. I never found it. And it wasn't for a lack of trying, because like a lot of women, we try everything. And so what happened was, I turned 40 and it was the COVID years, and I had miscarriages during that season. And they really stirred up my emotions, broke my heart, upset me, and just left me thinking, I've never conquered this battle with my weight. My inner dialogue in my head was just so sad and grumpy and hard on myself. It was something sad and traumatic like miscarriages that got me to go, enough, that I have to stop this craziness. I'm in my 40s. I know there's life beyond this rut. When you can look at a rut and it's been 20 years, enough already. I wanted to take control and not continue for the next 20 years. And so that upset of a sad time, I kind of flipped it on its head, and instead of it making me stay even more stuck, it ticked me off and I wanted to get unstuck. And so, online you can find anybody and click on anything. And I did. But I eventually found you, and you just talked a straightforward talk that made sense to me at the time. I liked that it was a group. I realized I can't keep hiding this. I can't keep it all inside. I liked the fact that there was a group setting. I liked that it was weekly. I knew I needed accountability. I just needed friends. Really, I just needed to talk and let it out. So just those different aspects just appealed to me. And just like you click on stuff and you're like, no, not this one, delete, unsubscribe. With you, I stuck with you because you just talked and asked me the hard questions like, what are you doing? And do you want to get unstuck? Do you want to do the hard work? And that's where it all just lined up perfectly. I think that, things happen for a reason. And I found you in that season of my life where I needed someone who meant what they said what they meant, and had a plan, because my plans never worked out. And I think I told you before that you kind of intimidated me, but in a good way. You needed to be pushed. I needed to be pushed. It wasn't working what I was doing. And I liked that feeling, to be pushed. I realized that's what had been missing for so long, is someone that will just give me the tools and talk to me. It just all lined up real good for that season of my life to meet you.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember that conversation very well. And I remember lots of hesitation and fear and things of that nature. So I tell us a little bit about some of those hesitations or, fears, or what your nervousness, were you nervous to invest in yourself?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Right off the bat, the money. I can't spend a lot of money, even a little bit of money. I can't spend money. And I just said that to myself, like, I'll give her a little bit, but I can't give her, anything more than that. And that's not fair. That doesn't make sense. But that was my initial thought, is I can't spend money, my husband's hard-earned money, that was my initial thought. And then that thinking, when you dig into it, well, that made no sense either, because he loved me. He loves me. And so when I talked to him about it, he was like, really? Okay, well, let's figure it out. And that whole story. We figured it out. We found the money. Uh, we worked at it. And I just brought it to him, saying this means a lot to me. And he knew how I had been so upset previously because of the miscarriages. And I'm grateful that I have that kind of relationship where I can just bring him what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and what I want. And he helped me find the money. That meant a lot to me. You know what I mean about things just falling into place as they should. I thought he'd be resistant and I'd have to push him a bit, because I started to think, well, I'm worth this investment. That's a dangerous thought. But he was like, yeah, if you really want it, we'll figure it out. And so I'm really blessed about that, because I had done, like I said, shakes and pills and spurts of money here and there, but I wanted something that actually worked and moved me forward. And so a conversation with you, a conversation with him, we figured it out, and it was pretty special.
Oh, it is so special. And I remember that. And I remember, and I talk to women every day, right? And I think sometimes our spouses can be our biggest holdbacks, our biggest barriers to making change, because as women, we are wired, for the most part, differently than men are. And if you are a heterosexual female and you are married to a man, we think differently. We have different levels of emotions. We have different levels of hormones. I mean, we process energy differently. We're just different. And often that can be barriers because in the emotional eating, binge eating world, we don't talk about these things with our husbands. We hide, we eat in secret, and it's very shameful and guilt-ridden. And it's not even something we feel comfortable enough talking to them. So they actually don't sometimes know it's happening, or they don't understand. They just don't understand. A lot of men I feel I come across are like, but honey, you just eat less and exercise more. This decades, almost centuries old concept that if that actually worked, we'd all be skinny humans. Yeah. But we have the biggest obesity problem in, the North America region. So clearly that's not the answer, men. Exactly. And yet we have these husbands who are like, just go to the gym, just eat more broccoli, right? And they don't understand the inner work. They don't understand what needs to happen, what needs to be worked on, the different changes. And a lot of women allow that to control their decisions, because a lot of women find it really hard to invest in themselves. Yeah. Right. It's really hard to implement self-care. It's really hard to put themselves first. It's really, it evokes a lot of feelings, a lot of guilt, a lot of fear, and there's a lot of emotion there. And so kudos to you for reining that emotion in, getting your husband in a conversation, which I always recommend to everybody. Have a conversation, even if they don't understand. This isn't about asking permission. This is about, hey, honey, please support me in my decision. And that's really empowering. So, I'm super proud of that. I know that happened for you. And I think that's why you came through this program. That whole situation could have gone a lot differently. Right. So that's amazing. Now I want to talk about all the amazing wins that you've had and all of the things that, your achievements, your wins, your successes, what you're most proud of. Let's talk through it.
It was really a journey full of experiences. It was a lot more than I expected. I thought we would talk about, eating and hormones and cravings and, your mindset. That was obvious. But as I went in week to week and the meetings week to week, um, it was really special how I received what I needed as far as the education, the push, the support. I really liked, your first meeting, all these strangers on a Zoom call. And at first I thought that would be the part that I wasn't too crazy about, because I've hidden most of my struggle. And then now you're just talking on it on a Zoom call. That's absurd, I thought. But that actually became my favorite part. So I lost 30 pounds, my A1C dropped, my measurements went down. I understood cravings better and I reacted to them better. Nothing was perfect, nothing is going to be. And I just kind of accepted that it wasn't all or nothing. That was a big one for me. When it's hard, keep going, but don't stop, because you'll never get beyond that point if you stop and restart. And so those are the things that took place for me as I just began. I really loved being in the hub and doing the paperwork. I would print it out. I have this really nice binder with stickers on it, and I would write in it. At first I was resistant, like take a bath, write in a journal. Like I wasn't in the mood for any of that stuff, but I did it because look now, we had just paid for something. I'm going to get my money's worth is what I was thinking. That makes sense. And so I made myself do it. I showed up. I'm the type of person that I'm pretty passionate in general, but I never focused all that on taking care of myself. People talk about self-care, and I always thought that was such a fluffy word, like healthy, skinny people that go to the gym talk about self-care. To me, it wasn't a sentence that I've ever applied to myself, but I realized that's what I was doing. I'm 6 feet tall, and so you wanted us to try to take some baths and Epsom salts. And the first time I got in the tub, I was like, this is stupid. But then I got in it and I was like, oh, this is kind of nice, once I bent myself into it. But it was things like that. I just did it. I've never drank lemon water before. Journaling, just asking yourself all those questions of why are you thinking the way you're thinking? You like investigate that thought a bit more. It was easier than I thought to start caring about yourself and thinking it through. I just started, and I liked every bit of it. The hub, the paperwork, the meetings. You were there. I need you to push me because it immediately got hard. And you said the right things, and I didn't give up, and I couldn't give up because I had just signed up to a many-week program. I don't want to back out. And so as I kept going and pushing myself, and the course itself pushed me, I started to realize I can do this. And I actually like how this feels. And stuff came up, and okay, talk about it. So that was really nice. For me, that all came together really, really, really special.
Tell us a little bit about your emotional eating journey.
Yeah, well, like I said, since I was young, that's just what I knew, what I did. And so what started to happen with you in the group was when I would emotionally eat, at first I didn't catch it and I just did it. And probably because the program was pushing me, that's why I wanted to emotionally eat. But then I caught myself and I thought about it. And that was a weird moment to think about why you're thinking the way you're thinking. Why food? To look at the food and say, I don't really need this. I'm just sad right now. And why am I sad? That kind of talking to myself, it just started to help. So I'd be upset. My reaction would be to go to the fridge and you just, you eat something, you calm down. But then for me to go, wait a second. All right, why? I don't need ice cream right now. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. I don't need ice cream right now. What am I feeling? I did that. I said that to myself and I thought about it. And I admit I had some good cries because I immediately connected it back to my dad being heavy, young. And that's just what we did. We ate. The fridge and the cupboards were full of junk. And so I had some sadness about that story in my life, my childhood and being so heavy, so young. All of that came up. And then my dad's, he's been in heaven for a long time. And so I couldn't talk to him about it or bitch at him about it, right? Like I had to handle all of that. So I talked to myself through it. I realized I was a child and you can't be mad at yourself for a lot of things. You give yourself a lot of grace. And I believe in grace in the first place. And so I just started laying on the grace and I needed the ice cream less. And when I did say, no, I want this right now, I wasn't mad at myself as much or for as long, because I would give myself a lot of guilt trips that would last a long time. I hope that makes sense. I just did a lot less of the hard on me stuff and a lot more of the good to me stuff. And that only happened because I just began. I just started. I pushed myself and things will come up. Deal with them. I had some good, ugly cries. But then
Which is
afterwards,
great.
yeah, afterwards, the moment after it's hard, you have a feeling like nothing else. And then I didn't need the ice cream the next day because I had talked myself through it and forgiven what I needed to forgive. And poof, that was pretty awesome. Hard.
So much inner work, so much hard inner work that is so much more than, eat less, exercise more, right? It's, I know, and I don't even think for you, yes, you had resources and nutrition and whatnot, but for you, so I don't think you ever brought one question about food or like nutrition or what to eat or how to move. I remember you said, you started doing a little bit of, was it the treadmill or the bike?
Yeah, so I started with you guys just before Christmas. And so kind of in the new year, just after Christmas, we got a treadmill. I know I never thought I'd have one in my house, and so I thought, well, I'm this deep already. And you suggested that we, get active. And so we found a secondhand treadmill. And I literally started with 6 minutes on the treadmill. And then I did 8 minutes on the treadmill and then 10. And then I got up to half an hour. And because I knew I would be with you, okay, I'm still here for all of January, all of February. It was like I had a plan. I thought to myself, if I start now, then we'll see what it looks like, come March time. And so I made it up to 30 minutes. I only bumped it up 2 minutes at a time. And I made it up to 30 minutes. And it was hard. But at that point, I had had a few wins under my belt. And I liked that feeling of saying, I did this. And so, people tell you the snapshot version of something. I started at 6 minutes, I went to 30. Let me tell you, from there to there was a lot of effort, a lot of sweating, a lot of swearing, a lot of praying. It sucked, but then I kind of liked the feeling. As soon as I finished my time on the treadmill, I liked that feeling that I did that. I used to be 400 pounds and I just did 30 minutes on the treadmill. Like, that's a big deal. And so it was a decision like that.
And that was all you. That's not part of our protocol. That's like, that was all you, right?
I just
and there were
thought
so
if I'm
many.
going to jump in and focus on my health, I have this program now, then let's make it count, right? Because I still had in my mind, we spent this money on something, make it count. And so I pushed.
Yeah. You definitely did the work and you showed up for yourself in so many ways. Actually, one thing I saw, I want to read that you had written, if you don't mind. I think it's just really awesome. And you said the most significant positive change since the beginning of the program, and this was from beginning to like the very end of the program, and you graduated months ago. So like this was months ago that you wrote this. So, or I think it was, yeah, we're already in August. It was many months ago. But you wrote the most significant positive change I noticed was I went from so doubtful and unbelieving to no doubt and full of hope. I even shocked myself with the passion that has stirred me into telling myself I won't put myself last again, and I will push myself to make sure I will not go back to old ways. And I think that's just so awesome. Like, I think it's just really wonderful to hear
It's a lot,
that.
eh?
Putting yourself first, right? What does that mean? Tell us a little bit about where you're at right now. What does life
Well,
look like for Melanie?
yeah, well, it's 3 months since I stopped, since we ended. And it's really meant to be that I talk to you now, because soon after the program ended, I felt so proud of myself for how I had pushed myself. I immediately pushed myself some more, and I started working. After over a decade of being a stay-at-home mom, I said I want to go to work and do something and feel like I am doing something. I also learned that when you want something, sometimes you need money. And so I might need to go make a bit of money. I didn't like that feeling of I want something, I don't have the money for it. Now we figured it out, but I didn't like that feeling of I really want this, but I can't spend this money. So as I was starting to end the program, I started looking for a job. And I got a job, and I started the job. Literally, I finished with you on a Monday and I started the job on a Wednesday, and I jumped in and I was afraid, but I had already gotten used to doing hard things. And I learned that I have a lot of qualities and skills. And I had kind of a lot of the lies I believed, I had knocked them out. And so I jumped into a job, which is huge for, I always thought I'd be a stay-at-home mom. I liked it at home. And then I was craving more interaction and more friends. And so I went to work. And so now I've been juggling, continuing, like I've set some goals. I'm still on my way to making some goals. I'm the lightest I am right now since I think I was in about grade 10 at 15 years old. In 42, I weigh now what I did in grade 10. So all of my adult life, I never weighed this. And so I've lost another 15 pounds since we said goodbye to my little journey with Loyo. I've been working almost full time. I'm juggling house and home and work and coworkers and having a boss, and I have an income. I still watch how I talk to myself and my food decisions. I've just continued. When my time ended, I said to myself, now just keep doing it. So many times you start something and you stop something, and I really didn't want it to be another one of those. Too much had happened in my heart, in the digging deep. Too much had happened. And so I wanted to continue. And so I've continued to push myself. It took a lot to start. It took a lot to keep going. Oh, yeah, it was hard. But it felt so good that it was much easier to keep going. Now, that doesn't mean, it
I
was
love
easy.
yeah. And I love the confidence that you built. And I remember you sending me a message at like right around that graduation time. And you said, not only did I go apply for jobs, but I was offered, I think you said, catch me if I'm wrong, 3 interviews.
Yeah.
And you're like, and I got offers from all of them, or like, it was something like that, right? Is that
Yeah.
like, talk about confidence building, right? Going from stay at home, like haven't been in the work world in forever, to building personal confidence from your own inner work through this experience together, working on yourself, your relationship with food, binge eating, emotional eating, nutrition, all of the things, all of the emotions, all of the inner work, to then lead you to a place where you're like, wow, my confidence level has boosted, that I am going to go out, I'm going to go get these jobs, I'm going to crush these interviews, and I'm going to get 3 offers. So now I have choice.
Yeah, it was really special. I could do it because if you can dig deep and talk about your obese childhood and your father who's passed away and, the overeating, the binging, if you can talk through that and deal with that, I can handle an interview. I mean, come on
Love
now,
it.
I can handle that stuff if I could I
Yes.
just finished handling all of that hard stuff. And so it wasn't that I suddenly was just so extra confident. That was always in me. I just realized I did that. I accomplished that. I conquered some stuff. So now I wanted more. And so those interviews were easy. I was nervous, but they were easy because when you handle deep down childhood stuff, there's a lot in life you look at and you're like, I got this. So for me, that's what that happened there.
Awesome. So awesome. And not to mention you started a side business on top of all that, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. So it's like you're just
Well,
crushing
I
it.
had
Like
some money, right? I went to work, so I had some money.
you're like crushing it left and right. I love it. All right. Before we wrap up, Melanie, because I could talk to you forever. What would you tell other women who may be sitting in your shoes or your shoes that you were in over a year ago?
Well, that's a good one. That hits me right there. Whatever it is that you're seeking help for health, weight loss, whatever that is, there's roots to it. Whatever behavior got you to needing help or seeking, someone like yourself, there's a story there. And so, how much does it mean to you? Stop and think, how much longer can you handle doing this? I was fed up. I think sometimes you have to hit a wall and say enough, because otherwise it'll just be another thing I start and stop. And so for whoever's contemplating it, you need to look at yourself and say, okay, enough is enough. Let's start. It's scary, but I can't keep doing this. So if you're at that point, just step out, just begin. Listen to your heart. You're deep down, none of us are fools. We're all really amazing creatures deep down. And so listen to your heart. And if your heart is saying, enough, I can't keep doing this, I need help, step out, take the help. Now, once you start, you got to keep going, because we've already done the start and stop stuff, and that sucks. So once you start, keep going. That's why your program is great, because there's the accountability, the group, the talking it through, all the different aspects. And then once you're in it, once you've signed up and paid and you're in it, now push. So it's not just begin, do it, you're great. It's many levels of, okay, now you've decided. And that comes from a sad, broken place, most likely. You're upset about something. And then once you start digging and you begin, you're going to find more that you might be upset about. For me, I thought to myself, what have I just unraveled? But since you're already, you've already stepped in it, so keep going. So realize now that it's a many layered thing. You have to decide to begin for yourself. Then you're in it, keep pushing. Don't stop now, you're already this far. And then you're going to get towards the end and you're going to panic a bit saying, oh crap, my time with my group, and can I handle it, post graduation? Yes, you can. Just keep doing what you've been doing. That would be my advice, my encouragement. It's a know beforehand what you're getting into. Let me give you those little nuggets of wisdom. Just start and then push, and then don't look back, because that's what we've done all our life. Don't look back. You've had a little bit of progress, a little bit of success and wins. Well, don't throw them out the window. Keep going. And please calm down and be good to yourself. Like, if I could be 400 pounds in my 20s and honestly kind of hate myself, to fast forward a story of obesity in my 40s and say, okay, Jessica, I need help. You kind of scare me, but I need you. I need help. And the only reason I had those feelings about you is because you were poking at the topics that are so deeply rooted and deeply hidden, right? But it felt really nice to just, once you dig it up, there's so much more space. There was so much more space once we got through some stuff. So you're going to cry, you're going to be upset, you're going to go for the cookies. And it's a many layered adventure, but please hear my heart. On the other side of hard is a feeling like nothing else. And nothing else will give you that feeling unless you push to get there. And you're well worth it to get there. And I'm now that I'm here, I realize there's so much more over here that I still need to work on and go towards. But I'm also just right here enjoying it and proud of myself. And yeah, it's one step in the right direction. And then when you're 10 steps, that feels better than one step. But I realize I have many more steps, but I don't take for granted step one. And I realize right here is just here and now. Tomorrow will be tomorrow. It's just opened up a bigger picture, and I'm grateful. The gratitude is huge. Yeah, when you dig deep and you tell that upset, binging girl inside, it's okay. It's okay. Calm down. We're gonna figure this out. That's really special. Like I literally weigh what I weighed back when I was a young child. You know, I just entered grade 10. That's my weight. And it's not about this number on the scale, but I tell you that I love myself easier because I did the hard work. I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
100%. And it's been such a pleasure. And speaking of gratitude, like I am immensely grateful for the opportunity to work with you, beside you, work together with you. It has been just an absolute pleasure. And the nice thing is Melanie is just a wonderful human being, has befriended lots of other people inside of our group. And, you know, if you are watching and you are either a Loyo Method graduate or you're considering joining this program, you do have access to our graduate group, and Melanie is a part of that. So you can be friends with her too. And she's just amazing. So I will tag her as well. And I'm sure she will answer any questions for you because she's an open heart and an open book. So I thank you so much, Melanie. This has been an amazing conversation. You are amazing. Keep doing the work. And it is just always such a pleasure. I thank you so much for being here today, and have a wonderful rest of your summer.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Melanie. All right, take care.